Hello, this is Jason T. Ingram. You might remember me better as Fake Zappa. I live in the Portland, Oregon area. I was born and raised out here. I've been living on support for 10 years. I've been considered mentally disabled since 2009. And I'm in process of starting my business, marketing the art, music, and activism projects that I've been working on for about a decade or so, and I've got some older projects too that I might be able to publish. And it's been a really, oh my God, I really don't know how to put it. I think if there's one word that I have, it's disappointing. And I'm not disappointed in myself. I do what I do every time I start a venture like this. And the conclusion I came to with the series that I did last, which was not focusing on self-advocacy like this series is, but it was the same thing. It was documenting a period in my life, and I can't even remember what it was. I've been so spaced out, and that's some of the stuff I want to talk about today, because as I take this journey, I'm also documenting my illness as well. And although physically I'm doing better, I'm still recovering from. It was a really rough couple weeks here, and it seemed to be getting worse and worse up until just about 5 days ago, and things suddenly started turning around. But they started turning around for the good. I'm still faced with the fact that I'm coming out of a very deep depression that is I've suffered more in the last 6 months, I think, than I've had in years, maybe a decade, maybe when I attempted suicide after straight camp. So I definitely know what it's like to feel like there's nobody around, and that I don't matter, and that you know not only I don't matter, but my suffering, my experience going on in my head that barely functions, and the work that I do. And it's so weird to be able to have had a career in this and been a person of influence. And after all these years gaining experience and healing and recovering from some unbelievable experiences that I had, I found that my credibility actually decreases based on the experience that people have working with me and not being willing to accommodate my mental illnesses and take offense at them rather than see them as something that could be worked out and discussed. Set boundaries, respect boundaries, resolve conflict. These are foreign concepts to people in the gay community and the music world. So those are two worlds that I've functioned very closely with. And it's very difficult to work around people like that. And it really took its toll here recently, to where it's just like there's a time when there's just so much bullshit you can handle, especially being a 43-year-old guy. There's just like, I'm amazed that I was able to handle so much of the bullshit over the years. But I don't have much of a choice. I mean, it's either get myself in an unsafe situation that at least I'm around people that'll acknowledge me and give me the time of day. But, anything more than that, I don't really expect anymore. But it's better than disappearing. It's better than silence. It's definitely better than ending up just disappearing in some kind of addiction or cult or abusive relationship or things like that I usually do when I get to this point in my life, because I have, really hit a wall. And then I've hit little walls too. I hit a little wall today. I just got some news when I was trying to follow up on one of my leads for doing some self-advocacy, and it turns out that when you ask people to do advocacy for you, you have to keep advocating for yourself to make sure that person is doing what they agreed to do. And it's across the board, whether it's a government agency, a nonprofit, a religious type group, friends, family, work people, whatever it is, for some reason they want to help, they agree to help, and then I have to make sure they're helping. And I don't think that's fair. And I don't like to do it because that's the point of me asking for help, is the fact that I'm tired of asking to find help. And so when I have to keep following up, and then when I found out that, well, that was a dead end anyways, apparently, and people had the wrong information because they just didn't want to talk to me for some reason. And so that's another thing too. It's like, yeah, it's hard to talk to me when I'm symptomatic. And I understand that too. And people make it very clear how they feel about me sometimes when I'm symptomatic. What's really hard to deal with here lately is the fact that when somebody is symptomatic and they're getting worse, they get harder and harder to be around. They're the ones that continually need more and more help. And that's also a time when the person that needs help will have behaviors that others will find offensive, and they'll actually want to protect themselves from whoever's hurting. And so it's just reminding me of, gosh, it's really weird because the people that have shown me kindness in my life are the ones that I don't necessarily agree with their views. In fact, there's a lot of things that I don't agree with that I would rather not be around some of these people. But I decided to see the world differently, not necessarily as these are good people that do good things or whatever. I don't care what they believe. I don't care how nice they are. If they're not showing substantial anything to what they feel like they're accomplishing and helping me, then I'm just going to see that as something that's of no value. In fact, it's the opposite, especially when they're people that are kind of in my group, so to speak, the people that share my same views. So it's been a very hard day because it was not only another little dead end, but I'm still waiting on hearing back from some other people. And I just don't think it's my job when somebody agrees to help that I should call them every day. I think that would run people away. And now I'm starting to get angry at people. So I can't expect folks to help me when I'm angry at them. And so I really don't know what to do because I realized that going to all these companies and organizations and things was getting really hard, and I needed assistance with people helping me. And I did have one person that actually spent an hour doing that with me. And that's one person in the last 10 years that's done anything that I consider substantial. And so today was kind of a realization of that, of how very little we really do see compassion. And when we do see it, it's typically because people respond to their five senses. They see that somebody's bleeding. They hear somebody who's crying. They touch somebody who's mushy. I don't know. And that's how they respond. Whether the person is suffering or not, they see it, they sense what is going on, and they think they can help. It's the people that are suffering and nobody knows they're suffering unless they tell them. And so when I tell people how much I'm suffering and they still don't do anything, and they're close to my community, and they're people that I've helped and given of my resources, then that is a quadruple clusterfuck of pain and resentment. And I'm carrying around a lot of it right now, and it's really hard. Really, really fucking hard, in fact. And I'm just taking life one day at a time. So today, I bought some mouse traps. So at least I'm doing something with my life right now to try to help my situation, because during this depression and my next door neighbor's moving out, I got a mouse infestation. And it's been going on now for about 4 months. And I used to raise mice as pets, so this is very hard for me to do that. And I got something in the mail today, and it's a t-shirt that I got for free for donating monthly to this organization that I used to be a part of, and now they won't even, like, be honest with me at all, and it's sad. That's another I think that shirt was another reminder of, like, oh, fuck. I am so not in this elite club of artists and musicians that do what I do, that need what I have, and yet they won't even consider me because I'm just out of their world. And it's just another reminder of how horrible that feels, especially the fact that I have roots in some of these organizations. And for whatever reason, they refuse to, well, gosh, I don't know. It's, each situation is of its own and it's complicated. So it's really hard to tell. But still, though, I never know where kindness is going to come from. And so today I was so depressed that I can't believe that I was actually able to go into a shopping center, because when I get that bad, I get really nervous around people, and I'm just weak. I mean, if somebody were to make me feel threatened or something, I'm so weak that I don't know if I'd be able to control my emotions, so I get really scared around groups when I'm hurting that much. And everybody I look at, sometimes I just like, ugh, like I just have this feeling of, why are you looking at me? Fuck you, get away from me. That's what's going on in my head when I get that depressed and when I'm feeling hurt. And it makes it harder and harder when I'm feeling that way to expect anybody to show compassion on me. So I don't expect that. But it's sad because I know what it's like, and when I see somebody and they're obviously hurting, I want to help them out so bad. And I just don't have much in me to do it. Sometimes I do. Sometimes that helps me. But the problem I have is to get into that codependent thing. And that's what I'm not going to do this time, is helping people in order to get something back. And I don't get it back. In fact, I get it back usually in something that is counterproductive. And if I do help somebody, I want to make sure that I'm doing it because I love them. Not because, okay, look what I did, now it's my turn to get something. And I'm thinking about karma, and karma sometimes can be a habit, not necessarily sowing and reaping, like the biblical principle. You do good deeds and they come back. Well, this is a lot of times what happens, is that somebody does good deeds, and then burns themselves out. And what they're doing is they're creating this energy, they're creating this world that's attracting me being taken advantage of, because I'm helping you, and then I'm being taken advantage of, and suddenly that becomes my world. And instead of having help come back for the help that I've done, instead, I just get bombarded with more people coming to me for help. And I do get that. Seems like every week or so I've got one or two people that come to me for something. And it's kind of funny, the things they ask me for help, too, because it's like, why are they asking me to help them find an apartment or something like that? I've got a background as a music teacher. It'd be nice if there were some musicians that kind of want to learn about music here and maybe want to hire me as a teacher, but still, I trying to learn more self-respect as far as not just accepting job opportunities or volunteer opportunities just because I'm bored and there's nothing else to do. I would rather wait until I'm in a place where I can really do what I love to do, what is in my heart, and that's what I'm focusing on right now. And it's really weird making that shift. It is. It's an energy shift. It is from being the guy that's being taken advantage of and not heard to a guy that has a voice and a guy that's in a place of influence. And that's a hard shift to make. So far, so good. Little bits at a time, I guess.